Okay, so for today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about the fork in the road between recreational use of psychedelics and therapeutic use of psychedelics, and what determines which direction we kind of go in from my point of view. So, real quick caveat here before I get into it. Obviously, this is just one perspective. This is my perspective as someone who's used psychedelics for a long time and supports people around psychedelic guided sessions. Certainly, there are going to be psychedelic therapists and other people who would not agree with this assessment. This is just my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt, okay? But here's what I notice. I really do think there's a kind of a fork in the road between recreational and therapeutic use. And I think it has to do with the come up phase of taking a psychedelic, right? So as we're taking a psychedelic and as we're starting to come up on medicine, often during that come up phase, there's kind of these waves of, we could call it dysregulation or emotions or insights or kind of bottom up, from the unconscious mind to the conscious mind, communications or expressions from the body, from the deeper system of perhaps things that it wants to process or work through. This could be, feelings of nervousness, feelings of anxiety, feelings of confusion, feelings of fear, feelings of bliss and joy, feelings of uncertainty, flashes of memories, et cetera, et cetera. This is often where a lot of, the pot gets stirred, right? So we've just taken the medicine, it's just starting to kick in, and the pot gets stirred neurologically in the nervous system as our system starts to shift into an altered state of consciousness, right? In that shifting, stirred up phase, that's really where the fork in the road is. So from my point of view, when we go into recreational use, essentially what we're doing is we're kind of just trying to soothe ourselves, ride it out, calm ourselves down through that wave of discomfort, that wave of dysregulation, and allow ourselves to kind of just settle in and adjust and kind of plateau into the full effect of the psychedelic. That's kind of what defines recreational. And then from recreational, our attention is often, guided towards either, maybe internal reflection or insights or towards outward experiences, listening to music, watching movies, playing video games, taking a walk, or doing yoga, doing breath work, et cetera, right? When it's truly therapeutic work, from my point of view, we are taking these kind of bubbles of, stuff coming up, these openings, this opportunity that's there in the arising kind of communication or dysregulation or wave of whatever starts to come up in the come up phase, pardon the pun there, and we're taking that and we're getting curious about that and we're leveraging that and we're actually leaning into that dysregulation and getting curious about what this is and what's there. Because often, from my point of view, what's happening is a communication. What's happening is a message from the unconscious mind in the form of maybe body sensations or a sudden wave of emotions or a realization of something we need, et cetera, et cetera. And so this is often where the opening, the doorway into therapeutic work begins. So what I find often if I'm supporting someone in a psychedelic session is that like as soon as the medicine starts to hit, a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times we are off and running. Like as soon as the medicine starts to hit and they start like chewing on something there, boom, we're off and running. So I would say from my point of view, and this is just one approach to working with psychedelics in a healing kind of, context here. So this is not the only way to do it. But from my point of view, that fork in the road really determines a lot of whether or not it goes like into a therapeutic kind of mode of really working through stuff and regulating through issues, or whether this kind of goes more into a recreational mode of, exploration of your mind, play, enjoying things like music, et cetera, et cetera. I should probably mention here, I can imagine you watching this and going, but, doesn't sometimes recreational turn into a therapeutic or therapeutic kind of overlap with recreational? Absolutely. Yes. So I've talked about this before. I'm sure I'll talk about it again. I've made other videos about this. I do think the line between recreational and therapeutic is often very blurry, and there can be a lot of overlap between the two. So sure, you could start off on a recreational journey, have something absolutely like open up, have a realization or an aha, or just like an inclination to all of a sudden start processing something, and it can turn therapeutic in tone. That totally happens all the time. I think also what we see a lot, with recreational journeys is that people have kind of these peak experience moments or these positive resource experiences that become ultimately therapeutic learnings in the bigger picture of their lives. But it may happen in a recreational context. So you might be at Burning Man, for example, and take LSD, and you're out there to dance and party with your friends, and you have this moment of perhaps feeling deeply connected to your own body, or deeply connected to humanity or to life, or you may discover a new set of values that you didn't know you deeply held, sacred, but you do. And that can be therapeutic in the big picture if we apply that properly, right? Conversely, sometimes when we go towards whatever this kind of curiosity and this dysregulation bubbling up is, and we follow that thread and we do some sort of processing and support around that, what unfolds is perhaps something that looks like a recreational outcome on the other side of it. A sense of feeling complete, a sense of just wanting to lighten up and play, a sense of I'm healed and I'm whole and I just want to laugh and feel good. And that's often what happens on the backside of a healing process. So it's not a hard binary, but I do think there's a fork in the road. And I do think that that fork in the road is very much about how we deal with the come up phase, for whatever that's worth. So anyways, just want to share that with you guys in case that might be useful in your own use of psychedelics or supporting someone else's psychedelics. All right, that's all for now. Much love to you, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.